Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at a nice little book from Stella Gamer Publishing called Terra, Arisen. I want to thank the good folks at Stella Gamer for sending this to me to take a look at. This is a setting for the Cepheus Deluxe game. So this is their setting source book. It's a really good book. It's got a lot of good ideas in it that would apply not only to Cepheus, but I thought of a number that would apply to another famous 2x6 game if you also play that. And there's a lot of stuff to pull out of here for any science fiction game. So we're going to take a look at this today, and I'll let you know what I think. I like that cover, by the way. Also want to mention again, I'm still doing a subscription drive, always am. As of the taping of this, I'm just over 1,600. Yay! Thank you everybody who has subscribed already. The stats tell me there's way more. Over half my views are still coming from non-subscribers. So come on in. We talk about games here. It's a lot of fun. None of us are mean here. Me and the entire staff, which is me, are nice people. So just come on in and let's talk games. Also, I've got a Patreon going right now. I'm trying to grow the channel also with my equipment. So if there's anything you can do to help out in the Patreon, that'd be great too. But back to today's topic. Terra Arisen for Cepheus Deluxe from Stella Gamer Publishing. Terra Arisen. This is the source book for Cepheus Deluxe, Stella Gamer Publishing. Part of what I consider to be a true traveler renaissance. Now, I want to explain that a little bit. I've been asked about that, what I mean by a traveler renaissance. Anybody who's been through Traveler for most of its life, as I have, I picked up Traveler in March of '81. You know that the 80s were a heady time for Traveler. There was a lot of material. There were Dragon magazine articles, White Dwarf, if you get your hands on them. Space Gamer always had Traveler articles. And Traveler itself was always having products. And there were a lot of fanzines. So that was a heady time to be a Traveler fan. And a lot of that continued through Mega Traveler. So Mega Traveler ran from 87 to 93. So then we came into the new era. And things changed. The Traveler game system itself actually changed. The combat system, everything changed. And that slowed things down. And the 90s slowed things down in general. The stuff that was hot in the 80s didn't necessarily stay hot in the 90s. Role-playing suffered pretty severe body blow in the 90s. And then we had Mark Miller's Traveler come out also. And then, of course, GURPS Traveler came out in 98. And GURPS Traveler, personal favorite of mine, ran through '02 to '04, depending on what you call running, but they put out products till about '04. But GURPS became very sporadic after about '02. So after '02, we had kind of a gap in there that was only filled by Traveler 20. And I don't want to sound like I didn't like Traveler 20. I did. I played that for years. I still enjoy Traveler 20. It's just that the products from Quick Link Interactive weren't that easy to come by. There weren't a ton on shelves at stores, and you had to order them off the internet, and in those days it wasn't as easy as it is now. So we had kind of a gap in there, a kind of a dark age, if you will, that was spanned by T20. Thank you guys. Great work for that, until Mongoose First came up in 2008. So I consider those kind of the dark ages, the dark years, after the Romans left England, and then before the Renaissance. Those are the dark times. Well, the Renaissance started in Mongoose First and has picked up a lot with the Open Gaming License and, of course, Mongoose Second. And the Open Gaming License has given us the Cepheus line, and then offshoots of that being Clement Sector and a bunch of stuff available through Drive-Thru RPG, even some fanzines. We've, of course, had some fanzines going straight through that are available online. But I feel we're in a time now where Traveler is, as a whole, has grown and gotten really strong. So that's my Traveler renaissance. I did not mean to distract from this offering. I just wanted to explain myself as far as a Traveler renaissance. So back to the topic at hand, Terra Arisen. What a good book. I enjoyed this book a lot. This book is set just a few years after the Terrans have thrown off the yoke of an evil empire. We're going to go into the credits first. The authors are Omer Golan-Joel, Richard Hazelwood, and Josh Peters. Nice job, guys. This is a nicely put together book. Uh, the editors are the same gentleman, and then the interior art is Alex Loffing. I hope I got that name right. Earl Geyer, Francesco Accordi, ESOM Kornmesser, Jeff Kazmierski, and Luigi Castellani. And I'm not sure, Megan, photosearch.com. I'm not really sure what that is. And then, of course, the ever reliable, ever enjoyable Ian Stead gave us the deck plans and starship renders. The star maps are Gavin Daddy, cover art Luigi Castellani, my apologies, and then the general layout is Omer Golan-Joel. This is published earlier this year in 2022, and is an update of These Stars Are Ours, which is the original setting for Terra, for Stella Gamma. But now we get, I think, a little bit more mature offering in Terra Arisen. Terra leads the stars to freedom. I love posters like that in a book. I really do. So here we go. We get the introduction, who the authors are, and Stella Gamma Publishing, and then we get the setting overview, which takes place in Terra Arisen. Starts in 2260 CE, 2 years after the Terran Seasick victory in the Terran Liberation War against the mighty Reticulan Empire. And it's a time of uneasy peace. So a lot of this book, and they mention it later in the book, a lot of this book evoked imagery and thoughts of post-World War II, specifically post-World War II Europe, but also post-World War II United States, which is pretty cool. It's a time of rebuilding, a time of discovered freedoms, a time of just excitement about who you are, and what you are doing on the vast imperial, or the international stage, interstellar stage, I guess I should say. The main power right now is the United Terran Republic, the UTR, a strong, vigorous power administered by pragmatic President Alberto Shen. Basically, the Terrans led rebellion against the Reticulan Empire. These are the guys that were coming down in the mid-20th century in their little saucers and kidnapping people and studying them. These were the Reticulans, and then they came back later, and the Reticulans conquered Terra and had a vast empire. So during this time, Terra rebelled, threw off the yoke of the Reticulans. Not an easy task to do. They gathered up a coalition of allies, and they were able to throw the Reticulans off, and got themselves freed. So that's all pretty neat, and it all reminded me a lot of the Second Imperium of Man, the rule of man, the ramshackle empire in Traveller. I don't try to keep going back to Traveller. It's just that I thought of that, and I thought, oh, this source book would be phenomenal if I were to run a campaign set in that era, or do some kind of misjump time shift thing and send a group of players back to that era. So just one of the thoughts I had as I was reading this book. This book is phenomenal on its own, by the way. We got a lot of new aliens to deal with. Not necessarily new to Cepheus, but they're brought out clearly here. The Seasick, reptilian humanoid species that are descended from omnivore pouncer hunters. And we get all their stats and all their advantages and disadvantages. Humans, of course, as character races. You could play a Reticulan, which are gray-skinned humanoid alien species with large almond-shaped eyes and large heads, and smaller overall stature, and they're female. They reproduce asexually, and they're all female, which is kind of interesting. You can have a Reticulan hybrid. Yes, Reticulan and humans can combine their genetic material and create a living creature, and these are hybrids. The Cecilicians, that's a hard one to say, Cecilicians. These are humanoids with snake leg tail that is prehensile. Allows them to snake their bodies around objects and climb them. And then we have the Zus. That's how I pronounce it anyway, the little mantis-looking dudes. And then we go into a little bit on psionics. There are psionics existent in Cepheus, and it tells us the odds of you being psionic. And then we go into the various careers that are available in Terra Arisen. And then, of course, the mustering out benefits. Some of them are peculiar just to this book. And in fact, it tells you at different points, don't use the Cepheus rules. Use this book for various things on mustering out and benefits which I like because this is very much a post-war setting. Things are being decommissioned. Semi-military ships are actually being made available to the public. Things like that. And then we have nice look. I like the artwork. Nice look at the new careers. The Sysic female. We get the Sysic male. CRC 8/16. You remember the Committee on Reconnaissance and Counter-Reconnaissance. That's the CRC. Department 8 or 16. It's an intelligence unit. So you want to be your secret agent guy, you've got it right there. Here you got an even bigger boy. These guys deal with psionics. The CRC-32. And then you could be an Imperial Huskarl. Hope I'm saying that right. I know Huskarl might also be the correct pronunciation. I'm not sure. I've always said it mentally as Huskarl. And this is one of the few times in my life I've had to say that word out loud. And then the PRI. These work on, these are scions that work in non-military situations. So in the private sector, semi-private sector, you're working for the government. Reticulan noble. This could be a noble that somehow is not part of the Reticulan Empire anymore. Reticulan prole, it's a proletariat or worker. Cecilician, these are you're just that species. A member of the Terran Guard or the Terran Naval Infantry. These are two units that were active in the military or active during the rebellion. And then you can be a Zus. And then you use the war events table instead of the life events table in Cepheus' core book. So this is what you did during the war. What'd you do during the war, Daddy? This was cool. We have medals and decorations. I thought that was neat. You see these once in a while in science fiction games. I think Space Opera had some. I know that Silent Death had some. I just thought it was neat that it explains the medal and how you would get it and who would get it. I just thought that was a nice touch, nice detail. And here we go into the history. The long history of the Reticulan conquest and the Earth Federal Administration. That was the administering body under the Reticulans. And then we go into the time of the Chiwok Wars, Returnee Circles, and Resistance. And then, of course, the Terran Revolution. Terran Revolution was not an overnight thing. It took forever to really be done. The Terran Liberation War started in 2233, went through 2258, and now 2258 to 2260 is Terra Arisen. Starting at 2260, you are in the brand new, freed Terran Republic. What are you going to do with your time? And then we get a good look at the UTR today, the United Terran Republic as it is today, its outlook, its government, the various political ideologies, military and paramilitary forces, and also nice touches. If you're looking to add depth to any science fiction game, I can also see Gamma World applications for some of that. This book's great for that. We go into psionics as they're used generally in the post-war era. Technology and economics, and then we take a look at the corporations. Some of these corporations were under the Reticulans. Others are ones that have thrived outside of Terran space and are coming in. I just love corporations in a science fiction game. Wayland Yutani, look out. You've got competition. Now we get some colonies. These are colonies that were liberated during the war, or maybe were freed early and used as staging points. And then religion and spirituality in the 23rd century. We don't get a ton of religion in books, which I think is fine. I think that's really up to the individual game master and players. But it's kind of neat to see a section on that. Crime and punishment. You don't want to get into a serious crime right now in the UTR. The justice is swift and harsh. Criminal and terrorist groups. I love the Children of Gaia. I love that. That's just a cool name for a terrorist group. And get another look at some more of those. Some more really nice artwork showing us the various species. And then, of course, aliens. Alien, of course, being a relative term, but alien, not human in this case. So we have aliens, the psychology, culture, and spirituality. And then the Reticulan Empire. Are they always bad guys? Yeah, these guys are pretty bad. These guys were pretty bad. The Reticulans are not anybody's, downtrodden hero or anything like that. They were pretty brutal to live under. We get a good look at the reticulans, which we should. This is what you've just thrown off the yoke of. You have to know about it. The reticulans, by the way, are not destroyed by any means. You've simply thrown them out of this part of the galaxy. They're still very active right on the UTR's doorstep. So they're very much a player in this. The CSEC or CISEC, we get a good look at them as an alien culture. Nomadic Zuz. The Zuz had their world destroyed very early by the reticulans and have kind of been homeless since then, so they're looking for a place they can call their own. They get it at the end of the war. And Cepheus, I like these guys. These guys are making their way into one or two of my other science fiction based games. I like these guys. I don't really know why, but I do. And then there's other aliens, which are one of which is the Chiwok. They are raptors. They are intelligent raptors. Whether they're uplifted or not, we don't know. And yet here we have them. So we have the Chiwok, which have their own major empire and are also on Terra's doorstep. We get a look at the precursors, or precursors, depending on how you say that word. 10 to 15,000 years ago, a powerful advanced civilization dominated known space. The idea is that this was an empire that fell not terribly long ago in the terms of history. And the reticulans and the Chiwok might have been part of that empire. We don't know. That's one of the little mysteries in it. And then previous cycles of civilization, of course, you would find other things. And now we come to our good friend starships. And we got a couple of unique starships in here. The ones that were used by both sides during the war. And we got a nice page of, we get some new equipment you can put aboard the vessels. And then, of course, some nice quirks. And then we got a 30-ton small craft, a 30-ton reticulan civilian saucer. Yes, these are what were flying around Earth in the mid-20th century. They were scouting us, folks. Look at that. They were scouting us. Roswell was right. And there you got a nice little deck plan. I love the idea of having a deck plan for a flying saucer. Kind of a dream come true. Anybody who grew up in the same era I grew up in, with all the UFO sightings and such, that's exciting. 200-ton Cepheus infiltrator. Again, a very nice look by our good friend Ian Stead. And then, of course, the deck plans. Also beautiful. 300-ton Terran Shaka class light military transport. I like the idea some of these are being decommissioned and put into other use. So, another 300-tonner, typical Zuz scavenger. 400-ton CSEC Raider. That's a big Raider. That is a big ship to be a Raider. That's pretty good. An 800-ton Reticulan Abductor. Oh my gosh, all those stories in the Inquirer are true. They really were being taken up into spaceships by beams of light. Here's how. We get the nuts and bolts of how it was done right here. All the secrets given away. This is just so, I like this. And then we get a nice look at the Terran Quadrant. Nice chunks of space for you to run your game in. I like the idea that Terra is actually the focus. In other games, Terra is, in Clement Sector, Terra is clear on the other side of the conduit that has collapsed. And in Traveler, Terra is at best a distant world for most games. I personally don't think, I've never run a Traveler game on Terra. Wow, I just realized that. I may have to remedy that. I've never actually run one even in Sol System, now that I think about it. So, but this one is Earth focused, and I do like that. I like the other uses where Terra is just kind of off to the side. One thing I always liked about Star Wars is you never hear anybody talk about the planet Earth. There's no, because it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So then we get nice world descriptions here, going back to my point here. Really nice world descriptions. Lots of playing hooks in here. Lots of stuff you can use here and in other games. There's just, every game I read, by the way, I always read with an idea toward applying something to some other game. So it's not in any way detracting from this book. I always look with an eye toward what I would use it for in another game too. I like that. That's nice art. Here we go. Nice look at the sector Vega, the sector B Vega, subsector B, sorry. And we got, again, worlds. We got a lot of worlds in this. A lot of look at a lot of space for you to run your games in. This is just a really nice book. Really nice mood, artwork. I thought they did a nice job with this. So we're into Pengao, subsector E. There's the Reticulan Empire, sitting right there, right next to the United Terran Republic, and then the Seasick Confederation's right there. That's neat. Coming through some more. I'm going to kind of blow past the worlds. They're great. There's a lot to unpack here. But I'm not going to, of course, hit this in this video. There we go. And I'm trying not to keep dead air as I flip pages. That's not very interesting for the viewer, and I apologize. Come on. Wow, there's a lot of worlds in this book. I love a good book, a setting that's all by itself. I don't have to look to run out and buy a bunch of different supplements to get what I really need, which is the setting itself. Now we get to adventures and campaigns, and then it talks about what stories are you telling? Interesting. Space Truckers is, I've heard Traveler referred to that many times. That goes way back over the years. That goes back all the way to the 80s about, being truckers in space and trying to haul a cargo and make money. And they point out here that it's something you could do, but it's not going to be necessarily the best use of this setting. And here's where they talk about, the post-Second World War era can serve as an effective analog for the Terra Arisen campaign setting. I thought that was pretty neat. I also have mentioned that I thought of the Ramshackle Empire, the beginning of the rule of man in Traveler, as a setting, as some stuff you could take for that out of this setting. And then event, careers, and mustering out benefits that are specific to this book. And then skill picks that you're going to want. Mustering out benefits, your contacts, you're going to want contacts, definitely. Explorer Society is a nice little great source for adventure hooks. The Explorer Society provides a near constant feed of information and patrons. So it's a little group you can join. And talking about the adventure design, how you want to actually set your adventures up. And then we get 8 adventure seeds. Humanitarian mission to the Reticulans. Aggressive corporate recruitment campaign. Saving a mystery hybrid. Scrap Depot salvage. Return to the Dark War. Private vendetta. Glory trophy hunting. And then the 8th is daggers aimed at you. And then campaign seeds, which is pretty nice. You get the espionage campaign, the piracy campaign, which I find myself running currently in another 2d6 game, the archaeology campaign, the Vanguard Corps campaign. So just some really nice stuff. Terran News Agency dispatches. I always love these in any kind of science fiction book. And then, of course, inspiration from TV, movie, and books brought out here. And then the licensing stuff, and we're out. All in all, solid thumbs up on this book. I really liked it. I liked the way it's laid out. I thought the flow for a big, thick book of over 200 pages, honestly, it flowed very easily. It's a fun read. Very well written, very well edited. I recommend it completely. So, guys, it's Stella Gama. Thank you for sending this my way. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. I'm going to have to talk my team into not only playing the current Traveler campaign we're doing, but I've got to play some Stella Gama. I need to get my teeth into that a little bit. So maybe we'll do a Saturday game here or there where I buy the pizza and we sit down and we play some of this. I don't know, play some Cepheus. I like Cepheus because it's a simpler system and the simplicity is very appealing to me as a game master. It can make life easier for me. And anything that makes my life easier as a game master, I'm for. And Cepheus definitely does that. So that's all I've got to say today. I hope you guys like the video. I recommend this product completely. I hope you like what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Give me some comments. Constructive criticisms, always welcome. I'm interested in feedback in general as to how to improve the channel. I'm always in for that. So please go ahead and like and subscribe and comment. And please remember the Patreon if you can. And that's all I've got to say today for page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.